welcome to Wednesday night OWCP Chats with Chris and Gini. And tonight we have a special guest.
Two of them, in fact.
Yes.
As you can tell, there's not three people here, there's four.
And we know that you guys wanted to hear his story, and there's a reason for us telling you about his story. So just do some quick housekeeping. Do you have anything?
Yeah, so I'm going to introduce them in just a minute. We're glad to be back. As you know, we were in Austin, Texas last week, talking to a bunch of doctors, and I think it worked out a little bit. So stay tuned. Probably new offices coming soon. And for those of you that are new, get the books. Oh, geez, you can't see them. Okay, these are called Breaking OWCP, both of them. It's volume 2 and 3. I've got just a few volume 2s left. If you want it, go to breakingowcp.com. And everything is on PDF, and that's where I want it, because I want you to download it to your phone and then put your phone in your pocket. It's like putting Breaking OWCP in your pocket. The value of that is when your supervisor is trying to screw you over, you can say, but hey, what about here, what it says in the book, because the book will be on your phone. So go to breakingowcp.com. I think you'd be very happy with the information you're going to get there. And before we get started, everyone hit the share button. It's that little arrow. It may even say share. Does it say share?
It says share.
It says share. Okay, it's spelled SHARE. And
Share.
you click that, and all your friends will see it. And we make a joke about it, but truthfully, you got to hit share, because the one thing we hear the most often is, I wish I would have known about you then. And so if you're somebody that has an opportunity to tell somebody now, they won't have to say that. So let your friends know that, you know, there's help, and that we're doing it here on Wednesday night OWCP Chats with Chris and Gini.
Oh, yeah, Chris. No, I mean, this is Chris and Jimmy. Oh, my gosh.
So
It's been a minute.
we really want to I'm going to get right into this.
Yes.
And this is, I think, your first time on live TV. So everyone, welcome Scott Sear and Tammy Newman to Wednesday night OWCP Chats. I'm going to see all the hearts. Normally I can see all the chat. Can you click on chat? That way I can, oh, there we go. Now I can see the comments. So I've been wanting to get, Scott on especially. Tammy just had shoulder surgery and she can move her arm again. We were talking about that and she was showing me. And but I wanted to get them on to have you hear the story, because too many of you say, this is too hard. I'm just going to give up, or I don't even want to report my injury because I've heard too many horror stories. I think Scott will agree with what I'm about to say, that you've never heard a horror story worse than what you've had to go through. And so Scott's here tonight to tell you his story. And the theme is never give up. So remember that now as I'm telling you, never give up ever. Because if you never give up, there's always a chance at success. And so I'm going to start the story off.
But first, I want to show you guys some pictures real quick. Viewer discretion is advised. If some of you don't like this stuff, take it away. But this is what...
You have to get up there.
Yeah, I will. I'm trying to find that one. All right, let me get to the side here. So you guys see Scott over there. Okay, so this is what he looked like.
In a hospital bed.
In his hospital bed. Whoa. That's what he looked like. And then this is what he suffered. So we're going to have him tell the story.
Show him the bump on the head.
That's what I'm looking for.
This is important.
See that little bump on his head?
It ain't little.
He's got one on top too.
There's one at the top. Oh, here he goes. There. So now you understand why this story is so special. Because now you see he doesn't look like that. So go ahead.
So how many years ago was it we had that first phone call? You called me, was it like 6 years ago? 5 years ago? How long ago?
5 years ago.
About 5 years ago.
Yeah, 2019.
And your injury happened when?
2015.
2015, so 8 years ago. And
yeah,
3 years later, you somehow found us.
How did you find us?
On Facebook.
Okay.
On Facebook.
So she found us on Facebook 3 years later. And Jeannie and I were driving from like the east coast of Florida. She was driving. And Tammy called. And so I was talking to her and she told me Scott's story, which you're going to hear in a minute. And it was pretty desperate, right? I mean, 3 years into it.
Yeah.
Did you feel a lot of hope?
Not really, because I've been to other doctors that had basically pushed him to the side.
And all of you out there, many of you have experienced that where the doctor says, no, I can't help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or for whatever, or I won't help you, or I'll use your health insurance and good luck to you. So Tammy called and, she told me the story. And what I remember that night is saying to you, if you never give up, I'll never give up.
Yep.
And we had never met in person,
No.
but something about just your voice, I said, okay, that's it. That's
You
it.
gotta
I'm
help
doing
her.
this.
Yeah.
So then we finally got to meet, and the rest of the story is what I want Scott to tell you. And so we're really happy to have everyone give a bunch of hearts to Scott Sear. And remember, the theme tonight is never give up, ever, ever.
But the first time you met him, he was in a wheelchair.
Yes.
So so I'm going to tell that part of the story too.
Okay.
All right. So the first time I met Scott, and I'm going to let him talk to you about where that was and who it was. But the first time I met him, he was in a wheelchair, and I remember, Scott, you were able to stand up and maybe take one step.
step.
One
Yeah.
step, yeah.
And but you still had the biggest smile on your face.
Yeah.
I've never seen you look unhappy,
No, never.
ever.
Nope.
And
never.
as a young guy, you're an athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, and that day, not so much, right? But
Yeah.
not much of an athlete that day, and he was still smiling like you can't injure this guy's soul.
No.
Never give up.
And it never happened, did it?
No.
So 3 years later, we finally get to meet, and that's how I met Scott that night. And I don't want to make this about me, but there's never been a day that I've been emotional about it.
It's very emotional, guys. And we want you to share this because his story is that special to us, how we helped him through this whole thing, that there's other people out there, maybe not as bad as he is, or maybe worse, we don't know, but you got to hear his story, detailed story. And what craft are you in? What craft were you in?
It was a rural carrier.
He was a roll
Roll.
carrier.
So take it from there, in whatever detail you want. Tell everybody what happened.
Yeah, start your day.
How did you get hurt?
How did your day start off that day?
I was going good. Case and mail and everything. I had to use the restroom. Went to the bathroom. Got done. Ticket number 2.
So we know.
Went to stand up, and somehow I just fell. Hit my head on the door of the bathroom.
And that's the last thing you remember for a little while, right?
No, I just remember being on the ground trying to kick the door to make noise so somebody could hear me. And I sat there for 30 minutes before somebody came in and helped me.
So you fell down, you hit your head. Now, listen, all of us have bumped our head. And, we've had kids and they bumped their head. But Scott, the bump on your head was like the size of my fist.
Yeah.
It was no joke. And I think that's important for everyone out there to hear, because this wasn't just a small bump on the head.
Right.
No.
This was a traumatic head injury. Of when the first time I ever saw these pictures that you saw tonight, my eyes were like popping out of my head. I've never seen anybody with that big of a bump. And
Yeah.
well, I'm not gonna say what I was about to say, because that's the triumphant part.
Huh.
But so just in whatever terms you want, what happened next?
Just sat there and waited for ambulance to show up.
So the ambulance got there, you went to the ER, then you're in the hospital, right? We just saw the pictures, and you started going to doctors trying to get help, right?
Yeah.
How'd that work out for the first 3 years?
Not good.
Not
They just
good.
shoot me away like I was nothing.
It was too hard. They didn't know OWCP or whatever, right? And I'm going to say that the actual condition that Scott has is what I would call an impossible condition to get approved.
Correct.
It's something that OWCP routinely would say no to. And what happened to you medically when you bumped your head, Scott?
I had to relearn how to walk again.
Because,
Lost my left arm. I can't really use it.
right, and the doctor said that's because you had a stroke.
Yeah.
So Scott bumped his head in the worst possible way, had the most giant, what they call a contusion on his head, but had a stroke. And through the process, and many of you have been through the second opinion doctors and third opinion doctors and referee doctors. Well, how many doctors have you been to? 4 or 5? Like, how many neurologists have you seen?
Like 6.
6 neurologists. And correct me if I'm wrong, but 4 out of the 6 said that your stroke was caused by the bump on the head.
Yeah.
And 2 out of 6 said that the stroke caused you to fall. And stroke can't be covered, but we'll cover the bump on the head.
Yeah.
Right? So four doctors, including two of their doctors, said that the stroke was caused by the fall, not the other way around. And if that's the case, then the stroke has to be covered. However, if the fall caused the stroke, then the bump on the head can be covered, but not the stroke. No, if the stroke caused the fall.
Mm-hmm.
If the stroke is the instigator, it can't be covered. Now, for you to know, common things not covered are heart attack, heat exhaustion, stroke, anything like that. They'll generally not cover those because they'll say, well, you have other life factors. We don't know what your diet looks like, what your exercise look like. We don't know if you were out drinking or doing drugs last night. Or in your case, what did they say? He had some factor 8 blood
Factor
condition.
Yeah.
Deficiency.
So one of the doctors said he had a factor 8 deficiency. And for you non-scientists out there, just like me, a factor 8 deficiency would mean that you are predisposed to getting a stroke. But you have to get
It's
blood
a
work
clotting
done.
disorder. That's what it is.
It's a clotting disorder, but you'd have to have blood work to know that.
Yeah.
You can't look at someone and know it. When did they take blood work to get that factor 8 diagnosis?
In the hospital, but I was told that a factor 8 is going to be elevated when you have trauma.
So what they did is they took the blood and they said, well, he's got the factor 8 thing. But another doctor later said, of course he does, because he just hit his head and had a stroke.
Right.
And so that's another reason he would have it. Well, now I'm just taking over the story. That's just how it goes. You jump in and correct me. So he made it to, I'm going to be gentle, but you don't have to. A doctor that we were working with in the past in Clearwater. And we got the ball rolling, right? I mean, let's say the good part first, okay? When nobody else would take the case, we did.
Right. Yes.
But I promised to, no matter what, before I ever met you. And that's just how it was. And so we got started in this office in Clearwater. And then tell me what happened from there.
They put his file in storage and left us hanging once again. That's the one.
What's the reconsideration deadline for everyone? How long do you have to do a reconsideration?
I think it's 30 days, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's 12 months.
Oh, 12 months.
Yeah. So we had a 12-month reconsideration deadline that we missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It was missed. And I'm not going to go into doctor bashing yet because I'm not there yet, but it was missed. And we had already had like a couple of docs said, yeah, the stroke should be covered. A couple said, no, it shouldn't be covered. Right. You're sent to 2 second opinion doctors.
Yeah.
Right. Which
One
is
agreed
really
with us
unusual.
and one didn't.
Really unusual. And then we find out that the 12-month reconsideration deadline happened. And again, not to make it about me, but I was devastated.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it was just like,
He was crying.
how could
Yeah.
this happen?
He was crying.
How could this happen? Because as you all know, you have to understand, you cannot miss your reconsideration deadline. When you get a denial, you have 12 months from the denial to do a reconsideration. If you go 12 months on one day, you can no longer do it. Tanya's on here. Hi, Tanya. Yes, 1 year. Thank you.
And they missed it.
And they missed it by like a
2
long,
years.
okay, by, yeah, long time, double. And which is unforgivable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I will never forgive. But we were at lunch,
Yeah.
like not that long ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
No,
No,
about a
it's-
year ago.
Yeah, it's
It
been a
feels
while.
like yesterday to me.
It was about a year
I'm
ago.
like, wait, no.
And we were all talking, and I'm going to tell you, this is something about you, and I don't know that I ever said this to you before, but we were having a conversation about this 1 year thing, and you remember I was getting pretty choked up.
Yeah.
And he's the one that fell and hit his head and had a stroke, and he's patting me on the back saying it's going to be okay. Like, I've never seen anybody so adjusted to so much trauma. It was me that was hurt, not you. You're fine. But I wasn't. And but you said something.
We were talking about
various.
we were talking about all the doctors that I knew. I was like, hey, maybe you should go to this doctor I know, which is Dr. Liberios, who's a great neurologist in Tampa. And go ahead and tell him.
And I said, he's already going to him once a month because work comp pays for the hematoma.
Oh.
And it was like a choir of angels singing behind me. Because in that moment, it hit me. They missed the reconsideration deadline, but OWCP made a fatal error. They accepted the knot on his head. And when I
For all
realized
this
that,
time.
I realized that, what's that?
for all this time.
For all that time. They've been covering it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, if you needed an aspirin, they would have paid for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the contusion was covered. And in that moment, I went from devastated for the 1 year thing to sitting up in my chair going, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's a way through this thing. And so we said, we're going to do a diagnosis expansion. Because if they didn't approve that contusion, there's nothing to expand on. And so 8 years later, I got with Dr. K at our Pinellas Park office in Florida. Andrew Kammerer, not to be mistaken for the pre-mentioned Dr.
Gulf Coast Rehab.
Gulf Coast Rehab, Pinellas Park. Dr. K, if you're on here, say hi.
He's on.
And I said, Dr. K, listen, here's the deal. We're going to do a diagnosis expansion. And all you got to do is, get with your medical team, do what you got to do, and get this report in. And so Dr. K and I had a conversation. I think I told you. And he said, this might get denied. And I said to him, okay, it's been 8 years. If they deny it, they have to tell us why they denied it.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they tell us why they denied it, we can fix it. Well, then this miracle happened. Okay. And it wasn't that Dr. K wrote and his NMAX and his MD. It's not just the chiropractor, but they got together and wrote one of the most spectacular reports I've ever seen 8 years later for a diagnosis expansion. It's not that. It's that somehow the claims examiner read this, and I'm thinking, this is the way I see it. The claims examiner looked at it and went, shit, and sent it to another doctor. Said, hey, we'll show them. We're just going to send it to another neurologist. What are the odds that, we lose this again? And so they sent it to the head of neurology at Rutgers University, who's a triple board certified in 3 kinds of neurology specialties. Yeah. And this guy's letter back, correct me if I'm wrong, it essentially said, are you people crazy? What in the hell are you doing here? Of course, the stroke was caused by the fall. And so Tammy and Scott called me I don't even know, 10, 11 o'clock one night.
Yeah, I'm like, am I reading this right?
And so we're talking, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to sleep tonight. Because
send it to me.
Yeah, she sent me the letter so that I could see it for myself. And my answer was, I've never seen a letter like this that didn't come with an approval. So keep checking back. And he kept checking back. Yeah. What happened?
I was at work and signed into his account, and there was the letter.
And accepted.
Yep.
Approved.
Saying approved.
Approved. So what this meant and means,
Yes.
what it means is that now Scott is going to have lifetime medical benefits. He's going to have every opportunity to improve his situation. He's going to get bracing every time his bracing breaks. He's going to get therapy to the end of time if that's what it takes. And, I don't know if you'll ever get back to your pre-injury status. I don't know. I just know that now is not the best you're ever going to be.
Yeah.
Because now you have this opportunity to do anything, and it's not going to cost anything. And I told the whole story. I was going to let them tell the whole story. But
Stop, yeah.
I like this story way too much, but I'm going to ask some questions here. But I want to reiterate, the whole key to this thing is he never gave up.
Yeah, never give up.
I never saw him with his head down. I've never seen him without a smile on his face.
That's true.
He pushes through no matter what, fights on, and God was watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for myself, I'm so thankful that we met you. What would have happened if you never called?
Probably still be fighting and get denied.
Yeah. So
or paying somebody like I was.
Paying somebody out of your pocket.
Out of my pocket
to lose.
To lose, and I was doing all the work. Yeah.
So this is an open forum. Anything goes on Wednesday night OWCP chats. Everyone that follows knows. You can say anything you want to say about it. Everything you got to say, you feel free. But since I've known you, you've been screwed over a couple of times.
Yeah.
More than once.
Right? And I'm going to say, before you say whatever you want, this is why you make damn sure you pick the right doctor. Because the doctor that I sent you to was the doctor I sent you to, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was my guy at the time. And I thought, there's no way, this guy surely won't give up. I won't give up. But what happened?
They gave up.
They gave up.
When I called for his records, they said they were in storage. And I'm like,
but what about Scott?
Yeah.
We're not done yet.
Yeah, and I would text them and they would.
Not answer.
No, they text me back, but then they would ignore me the rest, not even follow up on what they said they were going to do.
It was a hard case. And
Nobody
look,
wanted to touch it.
look, folks, I'm not here to bash on my competition, and I'm not here to make light and say, hey, look at me, Federal Injury Centers is awesome. That's really not the point, but it's important to teach all the lessons that come from this.
Well, they dropped the ball.
They drop the ball, and what do you do about it? You pick it up
Mhm.
and do something else. You know, so many people, and I say it all the time, you're sitting at a red light that never turns green. What do? Run the damn light. What are you getting there? Okay, so let's go ahead and pause. It's been 20 minutes. I want you to ask the questions that people are asking. Read some of the comments. Let's hear what's happening. Let's what people want to know. Joe is on. It said, please clarify between Dr. K and Dr. K. Okay, Joe, we did that just a minute ago, but I said Dr. K. That's Dr. Andrew Kammerer with Pinellas Park Federal Injury Centers. Okay, and the pre-mentioned Dr. K is one that I don't want to mention.
Yeah.
I don't want to give his name any airtime in Dunedin, Florida. I just don't want to give that office in Clearwater, Dunedin, airtime. Because if you go there, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's not just me saying it. You can say it.
Yeah,
You're not gonna get very far.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want to make it about that. But what'd you say?
You're not gonna get very far.
Okay.
If it's too hard of a case, they'll probably just put your stuff in storage like they did his.
But our Dr. K, Kammerer,
Is awesome.
is awesome. And when I went to him and said, this is a diagnosis expansion, and yeah, we're talking about a diagnosis of
And
stroke.
he had a lot of stuff to read through.
He did, didn't he?
Yes, he
Probably
did.
thousands of pages.
Yes.
And he read them all.
He read them all. I think he's the only one.
He may be. He
I'm
may
serious.
be. So what are people saying?
Mary Evans said, my question is, I had an MRI in my left arm and the radiology report read there's a tear in the muscle and my primary care doctor says I need to get it fixed. How do I know if it was job related or not? Who determines that? I'm a regular rural carrier in Maryland, almost 19 years. What are my steps and how do I find a doctor that will take OWCP or DOL?
What's her name?
Mary Evans.
Mary. Mary, we have offices in Maryland, so just go to federalinjurycenters.com and check at the very top of the page at the locations tab, and scroll down to Maryland and find a location that makes sense for you. Tim Vandeman is on here. Tim, reach out to Mary and let her know where you're located. I just see you there. Your phone number is listed now. That's where you go, Mary. And Tim is really fantastic at this, and he'll guide you through. But don't lose hope. You're going to be okay.
Ron Speakman said, hello, Scott. Way to fight and never give up. You are a true inspiration to all federal workers. You gave the biggest FU to all those who were against you and who mistreated you, and rightfully so. Much respect and much love to you both.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah. Courtney says, OWCP says job offer is good. I don't have a rotator cuff tear and can't lift my arm to deliver mail. Oh, I have a rotator cuff tear. OWCP says whatever doctor I see and opinions I get doesn't matter because OWCP goes with their own doctor's report, which also says I'm not to return to work delivering mail, mad face. Why doesn't OWCP acknowledge my doctor?
Okay, so what OWCP does is they take the preponderance of evidence. So if their doctor writes a better report than your doctor, they're going to look at their doctor, okay? So what you got to do is take their doctor's report to your doctor and say, hey, do better than that. I mean, that sounds super simplistic, but that's where you start.
Victor said, don't give up and keep fighting.
That's right, Victor.
Marvina said, I'm going through the same thing with my right arm tear, rotator cuff with a bone spur. I filed a CA2 form through eComp. Injury is absolutely caused from our job. Very true.
Yeah.
I just had it done.
Dr. Cooper's on. Hi, Dr. Cooper. He's in Forest Park, Georgia, and Phoenix City, Alabama. And Dr. Cooper wants to know if you've had your schedule award yet. Calm down there, buddy. So
I wish.
Dr. Cooper is our premier schedule award guy.
Yeah.
And he's in Atlanta, right by the airport.
No, he is not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're
We
not
haven't
there
gotten
yet.
that far.
He's thankfully not an MMI yet, maximum medical improvement. So he's got a ways to go. He can actually get better, and obviously he wants to do that. And then the schedule awards next.
Misty says, hi, Scott, Tammy, Chris, and Gini.
What's up, Misty?
No, Misty.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say. Let's see. Okay, that's it for now.
Okay, so just to recap for anybody that's got on late, this is Scott Sear and Tammy Newman, and Tammy is Scott's mom. Okay.
You always call me Newman.
Well, your name is Newman
I
on
know.
Facebook. That's how they know you. Now, what is your last name?
Sits.
Okay, but she goes by Tammy Newman on Facebook. So when she's on here commenting as Tammy Newman, it's that one. That's the Tammy Newman you see.
That's because that's my maiden name.
That's her maiden name. Her husband's out here, and we like him very much too. But they're on because Scott had a traumatic injury that caused a stroke, and they had it denied for 8 years. His doctor screwed him over, even some of those doctors that you all know about. And until we just found the key to open the case, and we did a diagnosis expansion thanks to Dr. Andrew Kammerer at Gulf Coast Rehab Federal Injury Centers in Pinellas Park, and got this impossible case accepted. And truthfully, they should have accepted it from the beginning.
Yeah.
They should have. It was clearly in performance of duty, but the CA1 probably said not performance of duty. Oh, wait, you showed it to me.
Yeah, I got it.
So the CA1, the supervisor said not in performance of duty, but he was at work. It doesn't matter what happens next. From the second you get out of your car in the parking lot to the time you leave, you're covered. And it doesn't matter, okay? I mean, it just doesn't matter. So it should have been covered this whole time. And so not in performance of duty, number one. And number two.
No traumatic injury.
Yeah, no traumatic injury. Just
not in the performance of duty.
Just this grapefruit-sized bump on a head that nobody's ever seen anything like before, but not traumatic at all. Had to go through one neurologist after another. This one says yes, this one says no, and they just kept going with the no doctors until we found out an expansion that would work, and it got to a doctor that was certainly sent to by God, because there are hundreds of thousands of doctors this could have gone to, but it went to this guy.
Yeah, I'm so
And
happy.
this guy verbally slapped OWCP around. So,
Yeah.
But in absence of that doctor, maybe call Federal Injury Centers. What we got?
Vinny said, "Hey, Chris and Gini, I have 2 questions. I recently retired from USPS. First question is, I received a schedule award for shoulder back in 2008 and received 13% impairment for this, and they used the 5th edition. I had a rotator cuff surgery back in 2020, and I'm waiting to have another impairment rating done for this. There aren't many doctors in this Maine that do impairment ratings."
Yeah, so there's only one thing that you said there that stood out, and the rest of it was made irrelevant by what you said. And so your doctor did a 5th edition rating. OWCP only accepts the 6th edition. They do not accept the 5th edition. So you got to find a doctor who can do a 6th edition rating. Now, as I said, Dr. Cooper is right by the Atlanta airport. He's on here. He does 6th edition ratings. But let's just say that you decided, I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to fly to Atlanta from Maine, to get an impairment rating. Maybe. But you may get there, and Dr. Cooper may look at your case and go, your diagnoses suck. They only approved a sprain, and you've got a herniated disc or whatever. So you need to make sure that you have the right diagnosis, and you got to go to the right doctor to get all this done. It's complicated and frustrating until you find the right doctor.
Yeah. That's it for now.
Okay, so now I want to talk about you.
Okay.
So Tammy also has a work injury. You're also a rural carrier.
Yes.
And what, did you get your arm stuck in a mailbox or something?
No, I've been doing it for 17 years.
17 years as a rural carrier.
Yes.
So what happened to you?
Repetitive motion. I had a full thickness tear of my supraspinatus tendon in my rotator cuff. I had a ligament tear, and I also had a frozen shoulder.
So she had 3 very serious problems with her shoulder.
And my
The bicep
the
tendon.
bicep tendonitis.
And they approved it automatically, obviously, right?
Well, within 2 months, yeah.
2 months.
I think it took 2 months.
The reason why is it wasn't a head injury. And once you got it approved, you were able to get surgery.
Yeah, I just had surgery February 2nd.
Show them how you can do this. Look at that. Now I'm going to tell you, that's like a month, 2 months. That doesn't
That's
happen.
7 weeks.
But you're working. I mean, you're working on making it better.
Yeah.
And so 2 months later after surgery, but 5 months after the injury. Is that about right? Didn't it take you 3 months to get the case accepted?
Yeah.
And then 2 more months from the surgery till now.
Oh, it took me almost a year
Ugh.
to get surgery, I think.
It took you almost a year from when your case got accepted?
I think I was,
Or from when you got injured?
No, April of last year, I think, is when it got accepted. And then, yeah.
So what hurdles do you have to jump through? Not like his, but what hurdles did you have to jump through? Like what barriers did they throw up at you?
Well, the day of surgery, I didn't know if I was going to get it because they hadn't approved it yet.
The surgeon hadn't done pre-authorization.
Yes.
Or OWCP hasn't approved the
They
prep.
didn't. They didn't.
They haven't approved it. How'd you fix that?
I don't know. They got approved the day of surgery.
I imagine you in my head calling them and jumping through the phone and slapping them and coming back out. That's what I imagine.
Okay, everybody wants to hear how this, in detail, how this has been happening, and then how your recovery is going.
How this happened in detail?
How did you hurt yourself?
Yeah, so tell them, they want to know, and then they want to know how your
because of
recovery.
motion, and probably part of it is delivering Amazon. What else did I
So over time, this is what I'm
over
going to guess. Over time, you're doing this, and you're doing all your motions. You're lifting things out,
casing mail.
and it just wear and tear
Yeah.
until
Yeah,
finally the rubber band broke.
Yeah.
And so this happens to you all the time. Okay, this happens to your shoulders. It happens to your knees. Okay, I mean, the letter carrier job description says you walk 8 to 10 miles a day, carrying 70 pounds, and this one satchel. Yeah, right. So many of them carry 2, and they're loaded down 35 pounds, probably more. And you, as a roll carrier, like you're driving, you're going like this all day long, right?
All day
Long until it's too much. And so over 17 years, it gave out. Am I explaining that
Well,
right?
we're still in our office. We're still delivering Amazon. So we still have heavy packages. They have a lot of them.
Do people still order bags of dog food on Amazon?
Yes.
Yeah, those are like 50 pounds.
And cat litter.
Right. You don't know what you're picking up till you pick it up.
Right.
Right. And so she got injured through repetitive motion over a long period of time. And now you're able to get better.
Yeah, talk about your recovery. They want to know about your recovery.
What are you doing to get better?
I go to therapy 3 times a week, and they're doing stretching.
I'm sorry, where do you go?
Gulf Coast,
Gulf Coast Rehab.
Yeah.
Where's that located?
Land O'Lakes.
Land O'Lakes. That's right, Land O'Lakes. Because Dr. K's in Land O'Lakes now.
Yes.
Land O'Lakes is in Pasco County. For those of you that aren't aware, if you're in Spring Hill, it's a
only
hop,
like
skip, and a jump
it's
away.
only like 30 minutes to get there.
Right. Prior, Spring Hill people were driving how far to get to a doctor?
I was driving an hour and 10 minutes.
Hour and 10 minutes, so it's quite a bit better than that. Yeah, in Land O'Lakes. And the doctors there, and if, we have doctors on, like Dr. Cooper's on, Dr. K's on, they can talk more in detail about what kind of therapy they do. You don't mind if Dr. K talks
Go
about it.
ahead.
So if you guys want to get on and talk about what you're doing, that may be helpful. It sounds like somebody wants to know, like, how do you get over, rotator cuff tear. But the key was getting your case accepted so that the doctor would take it and do surgery. Right? I mean, no doctor wants this if the case isn't accepted.
Right.
That's a real problem. And, I want to emphasize to everybody that's watching that you got to get your case accepted.
And I got to pick my surgeon.
Oh, there you go.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
Yeah, because you have the choice of physician in OWCP. What else we got?
What about what are you doing for your recovery at home? Are you resting, or what are you
No,
doing?
I'm doing the exercises that Dr. K does with me.
So you have a home exercise program.
Well, I do it myself.
Right, yeah.
And how long will you be staying home and returning to work?
More or less than 5 years. That's what I want to know.
Oh my God.
No, I want to go back to work. They're hoping to have me on light duty by May.
Oh, see that,
That's
guys?
fast. Are they going to give you light duty as a roll carrier?
I don't know.
Yeah. So a lot of the roll carriers on here will tell you that because they're roll carriers, they don't get light or limited duty. The management just says, "Oh, we got nothing for you. Go home." Well, if they do that to you, guess what you get to do?
Stay home and get paid.
And get paid. That's right. Because the supervisor is the one that sent you home. Like you just said it. You said, "I want to go to work."
Mm-hmm.
Right. And almost all of you also want to go to work. Probably all of you. But when your supervisor won't let you go to work and you have an approved claim, you're getting paid. And they're idiots for not letting you work. I mean, that's just dumb. Because you have an opportunity to stay at work and not have to jump through hoops of the CA7 because you get to clock in. So the surest way to get paid is to clock in. So try to go to work.
Cindy Clark says, I have a question. I had a knee injury in 2015. I had 2 surgeries. On the last surgery, I was told that I would eventually need a knee replacement. I'm at the point now my case is closed, but I called OWCP and was told I needed a current doctor note and CA2A. None of the management still works for that post office. Can my current postmaster fill out the management parts on the paperwork?
Absolutely. In fact, it's their responsibility to do so. They don't get to say, "Oh, that wasn't me." Well, the you that was here before is no longer here, so it's their job now. So absolutely, yes.
Damaris said, torn rotator. They are sending me to an occupational doctor for a second opinion. Cross my fingers, my 2-year case will finally get approved. A big thank you to Federal Injury Centers to get me this far. Well,
Glad to hear it.
welcome.
I'm very happy that's working out.
They're saying, I'm a big chicken for pain. How was your recovery and your pain?
Well, in the beginning, it was pretty hard, and I have a high tolerance, and I've had neck surgery, and this was worse than that.
You had surgery on a Friday.
The second one, Tuesday or Thursday.
Oh, I thought it was on
Last
Friday.
month.
So how many days before you're like, okay, I can eat and get out of bed now and maybe like feel like a human again?
It probably took me about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. The pain.
For the pain, the
So
major pain.
the thing about the shoulder is it's like that and the hip are the most complex joints in the body because they rotate, they go in, they go out, they go up, they go down. Joe,
I had a lot of scar tissue too.
yeah, and they did a manipulation under anesthesia too,
Yes.
right?
Oh, you did that?
So when she was
Yeah.
asleep, they were like, "Hey, watch this. Let's move this thing around."
Wow.
I
Okay.
had a frozen shoulder. So we
Oh,
had to-
wow.
Yeah. So
I didn't know.
and by the way, this frozen shoulder thing is what happens if you don't work it. You don't get help for it, then the shoulder freezes. I saw that the first time when I was like 22 years old.
But I worked up until almost the day my surgery was.
I'm surprised your other arm's not jacked up now.
Yet.
But what I was saying is like the shoulder's made up of so many things: ligaments, tendons, bones, muscles, cartilage, and there's just a lot going on in there. And if you hurt it, don't delay getting it fixed. Delay getting it fixed is frozen shoulder and worse. Don't delay. You got to fight like hell.
And scar tissue.
And scar tissue. Look, fight like hell for yourself. Your supervisors are going to say, suck it up. You're not hurt. This wasn't job related. They're going to say all kinds of crap, but they're idiots, right? I always say they're either dumb or they're playing dumb, but they're probably dumb. And they're not playing because they're just dumb. So don't listen to them. They're sleeping fine at night when you can't roll over on your right arm because it hurts too bad. You got to get help. And don't be somebody that says, all right, well, fine. I won't get help. You can't be that person. You've got to get help. You got to fight like hell for yourself.
Did your supervisors ever give you a hard time for this?
No, I actually have good supervisors.
She has a good supervisor, guys.
You work at the one station with good supervisors?
Yes.
Okay, Alex, you're a good one too. But there's I think 2. Yeah, good supervisors. But I'm glad that you didn't have to deal with that. I wouldn't mess with you. Ever.
Yes, you can still get a schedule award if you're retired. As long as you're alive, you can get a schedule award.
Just stay alive. What's that last of the Mohicans? Just stay alive. That's what it takes to get a schedule award. Just stay
The
alive.
movie guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay alive.
Jill Parker said repetitive motion injury over 28 years, city carrier on riding route. Yikes, that's a long time. 28 years.
But hey, the cool thing is you have 3 years from the date you reasonably were aware that it was work related. That might be today. And if that's the case, you have 3 years from now to report it. So go tomorrow and get it done. Tanya Ferry says, my stupid advisors can suck it.
What are we sucking?
So she's a Rotary in Las Vegas.
TMI.
So she's in Las Vegas and she's been through it too. Tanya's going to be on here. Tanya, you are going to be on here. She's been through it in much the same way. I mean, not stroke, but she's been through it.
They said, need to know, after surgery, did you go through a lot of pain?
Yes.
The end.
And how long did that last for? Is that
Well,
within 2 weeks?
I'm still in pain.
She's still in pain, guys.
Yeah, I'm still in pain, just not as much. It's actually gradually going down. I actually had therapy this morning.
I think, so I've done therapy like
Mhm.
as a therapy tech. I'm not a licensed anything. Joe loves for me to say that. But I've been in therapy since I was 20 years old doing it. And what I always saw is that the better your range of motion gets, the less your pain is getting.
Yes.
Obviously, because now you can do this and it doesn't hurt so bad, so you can do it. And like you don't have to do it again. I don't want you to hurt yourself on live TV. But you're doing pretty good with that. Better than I thought I was going to see.
Before surgery, how far could you lift your arm?
Not very far.
Okay.
You can still use one of those fingers though.
Victor said these two people, Chris Helms and Sarojini Helms, are awesome. Chris's training is 100% on fire.
All right, Victor. I'll buy you a drink. I'll buy you a drink next time we're at Mango's.
Jill Parker said, will you let me know about a question I asked, please, if you don't know? I don't know who to ask to get a correct answer. I'm afraid OWCP will not give me a correct answer.
Okay, so I didn't see your question, but you can send it to.
No, is she saying it?
Oh,
I have,
okay.
I
You got
have
it.
3 failed rotator cuff repairs and have reached MMI. Had an FCE last week and rated permanently 14%. Post office says they are going to try to find work for me starting out 4 hours a day. Will need a reverse shoulder when older. I cannot deliver mail and no repetitive motion in the right arm. All on OWCP. My question is, if I file a schedule award, will I get medical coverage by OWCP after that?
Yes. So the good news for you is with an accepted claim, you get lifetime medical. No matter what, they can't prevent you from getting medically necessary treatment for the rest of your life. And you can even be on OWCP payments, pause it, receive your scheduled award benefits, and get right back on OWCP payments. And you have other options too, but you didn't ask me about disability, so I'd rather not talk about it. But if you want to know more, give us a message, a private message, and we'll help you. But the answer is yes.
And Mary wants Madam to answer this question.
Madam.
My back, so she said, my back started swelling all the way to my fingers. Is this a part of my rotator cuff tear? What do you think, Madam?
Did you have swelling in your back all the way to your fingers?
Not my back, but my shoulder did.
Her shoulder did.
And
However,
if you look, I have. This,
Oh yeah, that she has it. It's
On your
raised
clavicle, yeah.
on her clavicle there.
Yeah.
but that who is this? I'm sorry that asked that question.
Mary.
Okay, Mary. One of the doctors that are on, can you give Mary a message and kind of help her with that? We have doctors that are watching always, and it's better for them to answer that because you can have the exact same injury as Tammy and have way different symptoms.
Yeah.
They're not all equal.
Yeah, my
but-
shoulder used to swell like right in here,
Yeah.
and then I'd have pain down into my
So your pain would go all the way down.
and go
Yeah.
all the way down. But I don't think my hands would.
Did your
swell.
fingers get affected?
No.
No. Okay.
That's good.
I
Yeah,
would
but
just have
if
pain, you know.
any of the doctors are on here, please respond and see if you can help her out.
Jill Parker said she'll message you. So if you want to message Tammy, it's Tammy Newman and Scott Sayre. You guys could message them and blow her up with all the questions.
And if you want,
Not at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
oh, you
Yeah.
stole it! You stole
Got
it.
You know, wait, they
I was
still
gonna say,
don't know.
but if you want to call
Got it.
Scott,
Oh,
he
God.
loves 2 a.m.
No.
phone calls.
Not at all.
If there are any single ladies,
2 a.m.
2 a.m. you may call or message Scott.
His phone number is 555-555. Hell yeah.
Guys, do not message Tammy. She's happily married. But you can message her to ask her questions. What else? What else you got for us on this whole thing? Both of you.
So-
What would you like to say to everybody
Yeah.
that's going through all of any injury?
Scott, what would you say?
Just never give up, ever.
Ever.
Keep going.
And I want to say, look, if he doesn't give up, you can't give up.
Yeah.
You can't. Okay, you cannot give up.
No.
Just what if you? I don't even want to really think about it, but what if you did? What if you said, "Screw it, it's been 3 years. I'm not going to give this guy a call. I don't even know Chris Helms. Screw this guy." Yeah, the system is rigged. It sucks. Nobody, everyone's out to get us because it probably felt that way.
Well, I even said from day one when he got, when he fell, I said, this is not from a stroke.
And you
Right.
know your son.
Yeah, I know my son.
He was healthy. You were really healthy.
Yeah.
You're athletic.
We
Yeah.
both went to work that day. I mean, he lives with me. I know my son.
Yeah.
And I even told my husband, I'm like, this is not from a stroke. I'm telling you. And all the doctors kept on saying, yeah, it's from a stroke. No, it's not.
No.
I watched him walk out the door that day. He was fine.
There's
And it's like,
there's something about a grapefruit-sized knot on the head that makes you think there might be a stroke.
well, there's
Because
two.
of that.
There's not only that one
Well, I
on
know.
the forehead.
Yeah, I know.
He had two.
The fact that anybody could look at you and go, nah, that didn't happen.
But they admitted him under the stroke. I think that's what really screwed us
I'm
up.
showing you guys the pictures if you miss it because a lot of you are still hopping on. There's the stitches that he got. Staples. There's one of the bumps on his head, right?
Right on the side there.
Right on this one.
Yeah.
Is that one of the bumps?
Yeah,
Oh,
this
it's
is,
up there.
yeah, that's the side that he had the brain bleed on.
Here,
And
here you can see his little
Bump.
goose egg right
there.
there.
And on top.
And on the top right there. Here's, if this is
Top of
graphic,
my
I'm
head.
sorry, but this is real. This is real
Yeah,
life, guys.
real life,
And then this is
Him on life support
on
On
life
life
support.
after his brain surgery.
So this is real. And he didn't give up
No,
after
went from
8
that-
years.
went from that, then being in
Yeah.
a wheelchair to walking
Wheelchair to walking now.
They said he wasn't going to live
past 72
past
hours.
72 hours.
How do you deal with that as a mom?
Knowing he's on a life support.
This was very hard for me.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to lose my son
Well, look, I'm here.
that day.
You're still smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Never give up.
never give up, guys. If you feel that, even if you go to our doctors and you feel like it's not the answer you want to hear, you have Chris and I and our whole team that'll review everything else too and make sure that it is legitimate or it's not.
Yeah, I can't make medical decisions for our doctors, but I can speak good sense to them, like I did with
Okay.
Dr. Kammerer.
It's
And
tough.
and I think it's fair right now because I haven't actually done this. I keep mentioning Dr. K's name and Pinellas Park he's in Land Lakes now. But no kidding, look them up. Go to Gulf Coast Rehab. Come to federalinjurycenters.com and go to About and check out the doctors.
They help you big
Yeah.
time.
Go see Dr. Andrew Kammerer. Go look at what he's doing. Okay, he's
If
a
it
chiropractor.
wasn't for him, I don't think this would have never gotten approved.
Aw.
Well, I'll tell you the thing about him is he kept an open mind
Yes,
Yep.
you did.
Never give up.
and he's a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a young doctor.
He's a young winner.
He's younger
Yes.
than me.
Yeah,
Yes,
he
he
is.
is.
I could be his mother.
Yes, exactly.
So
What?
and he's married, so leave him alone, ladies. But no,
And a kid on
truthfully,
the way.
he's one guy that just saw the path to the solution, and when we talked about it, it just made perfect sense to him. And the night that you told me that this was accepted, I texted him, and his message back to me had like a bajillion exclamation points.
We were
I
actually,
cried.
yeah, we were actually at a dinner,
You're not alone.
the two of us, and he just looked at me, and his face was like, and I looked at him knowing that he had spoken to Tammy maybe like a week or two ago, and I know if he had tears in his eyes like that it had to be something because of the conversation we all had 2 weeks prior. And then he goes, look, and it was Tammy saying, Scott's case got approved, and we both were crying. We're like, oh my gosh, we couldn't believe that this happened. It was
I couldn't go out to
emotional.
work.
And I don't want to say that I couldn't believe it happened because I believe that I can win every case, but yours was the impossible case.
Yes.
No, it just was, and I knew it, and
Mm-hmm.
I told you,
Yeah.
I can't promise this will be approved. I just promise
You
I'll
told
never
us that
quit.
multiple times.
I'll never quit, but I can't promise I'll never be approved. And then when I'm so close. When your other medical doctor in Dunedin, Florida, on Curler, and when he gave up,
That one?
That one. Yeah.
it almost broke my spirit.
Yeah.
It almost broke my spirit, but
You guys have to understand, she
we
has
almost
a
lost this
very
case.
bad taste in her mouth. This is her son she's fighting for. And when, especially a doctor's just going to give up on your child, we all have kids, you're upset, you're angry, and you just feel like giving up. But she didn't, and
That's
neither
right.
did Scott.
Neither did I. So there's likely a path through. I will say, don't miss deadlines. You guys, due to no fault of your own, miss a reconsideration deadline. Don't miss your 12-month reconsideration deadline. Don't miss your 3-year filing deadline. Don't miss your 30-day deadline to get COP. Don't miss your 7-day deadline to get CA16 to pay your bills. You didn't even get a CA16.
No, or COP.
They didn't get COP or CA16. The injury that you saw pictures for, he didn't get a CA16 or COP because the supervisor said not in performance of duty.
What it was.
Do we know that supervisor's name?
There's 2 supervisors.
Which one said not in performance of duty?
I don't know. There's 2 supervisors' names on that paper. That paper's out there.
Okay, so she doesn't want. I could
We're
say
not
it.
going to say that.
It's true. I'm not going to say it because come and get some. Okay, the best defense to libel and slander is the truth. But so I'd be happy to say it if I had it in front of me. But supervisors, this is the other thing. This could be you.
Or your kid.
Or your children.
It could happen to you or somebody you love. Non-performance of duty. What a jackass move. So, I don't know. There's people on here going, he's just acting, so I'm going to get off of it. But what else we got?
Somebody said you're acting?
No, I just don't want it to go there.
Angela Lopez says, is it normal for a doctor to have you do monthly PPE report? The PPE aggravates my torn right wrist every time I do it.
Yeah, it's actually common to do those every month, but you got to. So I used to actually do these tests myself. Half a life ago, I was the guy who did those tests. I would physically perform the test with the doctor. And what I would tell you if I was doing the test is I want you to lift as much as you can, do as much as you can without hurting yourself. If you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, you went too far. So don't push too far. Where people get into trouble on these tests, they're like FCEs, functional capacity evaluation, PPT, physical performance tests. What people go wrong is they think, well, if I do too good, they're going to cut me off. Just the opposite. If you don't and you fake it, these tests actually can measure validity and reliability. They're like really smart. And if your test comes up invalid, then that's when they'll cut you off. So give the best effort you can, but do not push yourself so hard that you get hurt.
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself.
Kitty Ray said, I need help. I was told today that my treating doctor can't sign my documentation I need off for work on April 8th, 2023.
Well, that word can't isn't a word that registers for me because I don't know if it's a he or she. Let's say he. Yes, he can. Just sign it. Do the thing and sign it. If your doctor won't do it, find one that will. Okay, your life actually depends on these CA-17s. And you can't afford to have a doctor who's not going to play ball. Now, look, your doctor can look at you and go, you're full duty, go back. They can do that, but they have to fill it out. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so a lot of people missed the beginning of your story, Scott, because I just showed them the pictures. So if you want, go ahead and tell, because there's a lot of more people on here now and they missed the beginning. So tell them your story again.
Tell them what happened to you.
Yeah.
You're a rural carrier. What happened?
I was done casing my route that day. I had to go use the restroom before filling up the LOV. And as I was in the bathroom, I took a number 2 dose. Stood up, went to pull my shorts up, and then I fell. And then the stall hit my head, fell and hit my head on the door.
So you hit your head on the stall door.
Stall door, yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a light hit, was it?
Nope. And those are those thick bathroom doors, too.
Yeah.
It's not the little flimsy things.
There's no chance you were going through that door.
No.
No. More likely it goes through you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then from there, you had a stroke.
I was on the floor for 30 minutes without
Right.
anybody finding me. So
Now, of course, you didn't know you had a stroke. You were laying there like you couldn't move.
yeah, I tried to yell and I couldn't even yell.
Couldn't get the words out. Couldn't
Yeah.
get the sound out.
No.
That
And
must
then-
have been horrifying. I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, and then you guys saw
Must
the
have been.
pictures from the hospital. Where he was on life support.
And then he had.
Look like I got punched by Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
That would have been a better day if he got punched by Mike Tyson. At least the story would have been cooler. But then you had a multitude of neurologists that argued about how was the stroke caused.
Yeah.
Did the
But
fall cause a
usually-
stroke, or did the stroke cause the fall?
And then about the vaccination.
And the factor A deficiency, it's some blood thing. And some doctors just assumed he had it because they did blood work in the hospital. But then we find out that anybody that just hit their head and had a stroke would have an elevated factor 8,
Mhm.
which made that an invalid test. And
Doctor,
But everything that they
report
tested
cancer.
before came back negative. So,
So
right, so go figure.
yeah.
And it was all negative anyways. So then you had one doctor after another,
Yeah.
and you missed your reconsideration deadline. And we thought all hope was lost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What happened after that?
We found the camera. And he wrote me an awesome narrative.
He did. For diagnosis expansion. So for all of you, there's more than one path to victory in this thing. There's not just one thing. The thing is, you got to know all the ways. Like, what are all the possible solutions to this thing, and be able to just, pull the trigger whenever it's time. And when you missed your when your doctor missed your reconsideration deadline in Dunedin, Florida, when that happened, I thought it was over. I think I can win everything, but even I thought it was over until Gini mentioned that they approved the contusion.
Right, because we were reading your paperwork, and then it happened to be that I knew the neurologist, and I said maybe you should go there, and she said
Dr.
we're
Marius,
we're
we're
already
already
going
there."
there, and we put it together, and that's when the bright light popped up on.
I said
Chris's
they already
head.
covered the hematoma.
And when you
Right.
said that, I was like, holy crap. And in my head, I said, they covered the bump on his head.
Yes.
And so I was making fun of OWCP at the time in my own head because they made what I called earlier a fatal error. If they wanted this thing to stay denied, they should have not approved the bump on the head. Because in OWCP, if you have one approved condition, then you could potentially do diagnosis expansions for the other things that are related to the approved condition. And so in that moment, I said, okay, well, we missed the 12-month reconsideration deadline, but we still have an approved case. And so we're doing a diagnosis expansion because we're not finished getting the stroke approved. Because by God, the stroke was caused by the fall, and half the doctor said so.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dr. Kammerer in Pinellas Park, now Land O'Lakes, Florida, after he and I talked about it, he wrote a diagnosis expansion report with Max, the PA, and with his medical doctor. You know, they kind of get together on this thing. They write a report up, and Dr. K said, you know, this might get denied. But we agreed that would be a good thing if it happens, because now OWCP has to tell us specifically why it gets denied. For those of you that want to know this, when you get a denial letter, in every denial letter, there's a paragraph that says specifically, your claim is denied because, and they got to tell us why. And if they would have told us why, we probably would have whipped them right there. But instead, the claims examiner, the way I envision it, looked at that report by Dr. K, and as I said earlier, said, well, shit. I'm probably about to lose. And so they said, but yeah, I got him. Let's send him to one more outside doctor. And that outside doctor, by the grace of God, was a triple board certified neurologist at the University of Rutgers, who wrote a letter back that said, what in the hell is wrong with you people? Why are you screwing this guy over? This should be an approved claim. And lo and behold, how many weeks later was it approved?
Oh, I want to say,
It was almost a month.
yeah, it was almost a month.
So when you want to know, is my case approved for this diagnosis, go to your ecomp file,
Shows you
ecomp.dol.gov,
everything.
and look at your approved conditions, right?
Yeah.
And go in there and just check, because when you do a diagnosis expansion, or your doctor sends in an initial narrative to get the initial case accepted, your diagnoses are listed there, right?
Yes.
And you're able to look at it and go, holy cow.
You can look at your whole file.
It's all there.
Yeah, it shows everything it's uploaded in there.
So they called me at like 11:30 at night.
Sorry.
No, and
No, it's fine.
I said, I'm so happy you didn't make me wait till tomorrow for this.
Yeah, I know.
And it was just like, at that point, a waiting game until they uploaded it to Ecomp.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it was approved. So never give up, people. Ever. Like, ever. If you ever give up, you did that to yourself. If you just keep going, you have a greater chance of
Yeah,
winning.
never give up.
Never give up.
Ever.
And when in doubt, give me a call.
Yeah, exactly.
Melissa Mayhew says, I was an RCA for 18 years, have been at the PO for 26 years total, have been diagnosed with osteoarthritis in a lot of my joints, and currently need a knee replacement. My supervisor doesn't seem to want to fill out the CA2.
Oh, this is
They
good
have
news.
to.
Yeah.
Go ahead, say
Wait,
it.
what'd you say?
They have to.
Yes!
They have no.
What does the law say? I'll tell you.
The law says they have to.
They have to. It says they shall complete their portion of the CA1 or CA2.
If not, they get in trouble. And
You have 3 years from the date you realized that your job as a carrier, walking 8 to 10 miles a day, carrying 70-pound packages, 35-pound satchels up and down stairs all day long, in and out of the LLB, caused osteoarthritis of the knee or wherever, hip, ankle, whatever, shoulder. And once you realize, maybe your doctor tells you when you go tomorrow to say, hey, is this a work-related injury? The doctor says, what do you do for a living? Are you a letter carrier? Maybe then you realize that you have a work-related condition. At that point of realization, you have 3 years to report the injury. And I recommend that you do it. You go on ecomp.dol.gov, you fill out your CA2. It sends an email to your supervisor, and your supervisor has no choice but to do it, because now they have 10 days to send it to DOL. Excuse me. But the rule does not say that the supervisor has 10 days to upload it to DOL unless they disagree. It doesn't say that. It says they have 10 days, period. They shall complete their portion of the CA1 or 2, period. And shall means absolute. So don't let them get away with that. And if they're pulling this, hopefully you have a union rep that's powerful. Get some help.
Dr. K said, thanks, Tammy. You guys are so positive. Our whole office loves the family.
And let me just say something. Look, I didn't set them up. We didn't like rehearse. I think it's pretty clear we didn't rehearse.
Yeah.
Does it feel like family?
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to say yes. But when you
No,
go,
we're not.
oh, not with me. You better say yes. It's like, yeah, give me that one in the middle. But I mean, when you go to the office,
Yeah.
I mean, do they feel like it's a pain in the ass? Oh God, you're here again.
No.
It feels like family.
Yes.
That's fun.
And I'm saying that because so many people are intimidated by doctors. Oh, I don't want to go to the doctor. There's white coat syndrome?
Oh, I'm not intimidated by him.
I'm not.
Well, I would be. Nah, she's not intimidated by you, man.
No, not at all.
But you should feel like somebody cares about you. You should feel like you're loved, at least in one place. Your supervisors seem to hate you. OWCP feels like, or it seems like they're against you. You know, lawyers don't want to take it because you're not a PI case, and they don't care. And most doctors don't know how to spell DOL. And so, it's OWCP. DOL. But you have a right, and I think an obligation to yourself to go someplace that loves you and that will fight like hell and walk through fire to win. And that's what happened with you.
Yes.
Destiny Morton says, I love you guys. They are amazing fighters.
That's my daughter.
Talking about,
Oh,
I was saying, she must be talking about you. Welcome, Destiny, to the show.
That's my daughter-in-law too. Hi.
And my,
Victor said, supervisor no, stupid advisor. Yes.
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Jen Marie says, city carrier, 27 years, osteoarthritis and fluid in the leg bone in an MRI. Had right hip replacement 6 weeks ago, and now trying to rehab to get back to work.
It's okay.
Petrified to jump
got
in
dogs
and
running
out
around.
of the truck hundreds of times a day on that hip, thinking this may be work related. Now, nobody has asked. Imagine surgeon gave me 6 more weeks as a patient. Still in the process. What do I do? Oh boy.
We have a dog in trouble now. I missed all that because the dog's in trouble.
I'll take care of it.
Talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
Good job. A right hip replacement 6 weeks ago. Now trying to rehab and get back to work. Petrified to jump in and out of the truck 100 times a day. Thinking this may be work related now. Surgery gave me 6 more weeks. PT still in process. What do I do? Okay, you're thinking it may be work related. The best way to know for sure is talk to your doctor. Explain what you do all day long, and let the doctor ask you questions and decide if it is work related. And if it is, then that is your point of realization. You now have 3 years to report your injury.
All right, and we got, let's see. Angela Lopez says, I referred one of my members to your San Antonio office, and the PA said my member will not meet with the doctor, only the PA.
So that's okay to go to a PA. PAs are allowed to see federal employees, and medical doctors countersign their reports, and that makes the work of the PA equal to the level of the work of an MD.
Juanita says, is it possible to add an additional condition to an approved case as a diagnosis expansion 2 to 3 years after approval?
Yeah, Juanita, it's possible if it's valid. And I'm not saying it's not, but the answer is always yes if it's valid.
Judy Rapicki said, never give up, but when you're at a dead end, where do you go? And we understand that, and we are trying very hard to make sure there's at least one doctor in the state.
Yeah, and when you're at a dead end, that's your red light. Just find a way to run through it.
Trust me, we hate it. And I know a lot of you are messaging me saying, you know, I'm in Colorado, but you guys don't have anything in Colorado. I know I hate saying this to you guys, but you'll have to travel.
Yeah.
You will have to travel.
And Judy and I know each other. We text. Did our dogs kill each other yet? Maybe.
Oh.
All right. Well, we're probably going to have to end soon because I think we had a dog fight.
Let's see. One more. Belinda said, never give up, but OWCP wants to take their sweet time on your case, making you wasting time till you're fed up.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Don't ever give up. And speaking of fed up, check out Ron's Fed Up podcast. I almost said Padcost.
What is a Padcost?
Go to his Padcost. It's called Fed Up. And he's been recording episodes. They're going to be great. Yours truly is one of them. So Ron, if you want to go out and let people know how they can find it when it's there, let them know. And as it gets closer, when he starts actually producing the content, we'll let you know that it happened. But I'm one of them.
Belinda said, "Sorry, Chris, I've had it."
Yeah, I know. Belinda,
Please message me tomorrow.
Yeah, don't give up yet. We're not done yet.
Yeah, and then Kitty said, "Is there a phone number?" The phone number for you guys to call is directly to me. It's 877-787-OWCP.
Which is 6927.
Or just hop on our website at federalinjurycenters.com, click locations, and any of the doctors that's in your surrounding area or any area there, the case manager and the doctor will be able to help you.
All right, so I hear laughter. That's good. Okay, so we're probably going to have to go check on dogs and see which one needs stitches, because your dog and my dog are like roughly the same breed, and they're monsters, both of them. They probably just play too much. Set dogs aside for a second. Let's thank Tammy.
And
I'm going to
Scott.
call you Newman, I swear to
Go
God.
ahead.
And Scott Sear. And really, I really appreciate you coming on. It is intimidating to be in front of a live camera. It's not quite like being on Monday Night Football, but I bet it's close. It's like Wednesday night chats. And, if you want to know more, send us a message and I'll be glad to help you. If you think that you're dealing with something that's similar, please don't give up. We're happy to help. I want to help. I don't know what I would do if you didn't call me that night. No kidding. For the longest time, your case is what kept me doing what I do.
Well, before you, I was paying somebody $150 to.
Don't pay, guys.
No.
Don't pay. She understands, and we say this to you guys all the time. Don't go to those people that are asking you for weekly or monthly payments.
Monthly.
Because what happened after that? You got it for free after that,
Yeah.
right?
Right, as it should be. But no, I mean, I think I should. This is our audience. I mean, we're kind of all family, and you are with us every week. So I'm just going to say it. I mean, before I met you, I was this close to just quitting this, like not doing this anymore. And every time, like somebody will come out and say, "Oh, we're against federal injury centers. Don't go talk to them. They're committing fraud." And it's a lot of work to keep this going in the face of obstacles from people that should be saying thank you.
Yeah.
And the thing that kept me going is saying to you, "I'll never give up."
Yep.
And I'm so
Appreciate it.
thankful to God that, well, you're welcome. I mean, of course. But those of you that think that this is like a family thing, it's because it is now, right? I mean, it is. And I love you.
And I love you.
I know you do.
And I love her.
Love you, Scott. But no, this is very truthful. All of you. And you should hear that because you don't get enough of it. So don't give up.
Never.
Whatever you do, never give up.
Don't, guys.
And
I love you, Dr. K.
love you, Dr. K. But if you feel like you're just at your end, give us a call.
Yeah.
All right. Don't be at the end. We can probably help.
If anybody wants to reach out to Tammy or Scott and message them, you can. They're on Facebook. Tammy Newman, Scott Sear. You can
And
go
Scott
ahead.
likes his phone calls at 2 a.m.
Nope.
Ah.
Not 2 a.m.
We're putting him on The Bachelor next. Well, guys, thank you so much. Tammy, Scott, thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for coming
Thank you.
and being on our live and letting people know what has happened to both of you and how you've recovered. And same thing for everybody out there. Don't forget, don't give up. Just don't give
Never
up.
give up.
Never give
Never.
up. And pray for Ellie that she's not in trouble now.
She is.
Good night, everybody.
I'm sure mine is.